Hello, I'm Rob Kelvin. The Crows have been Adelaide's first team into the AFL, the big league, and they have had phenomenal support here over the last 5 years. Tonight, we're going to get behind the scenes to find out just what it takes to get the Crows on the road.
Almost everybody knows something about the Crows, but not many have crossed the line that separates football fan from football club. In its short history, it's had dizzy highs, but there have also been the what-ifs. There have been the critics, those who say the Crows are a closed shop, that they're out of reach to the common supporter. Tonight, for the first time, the club has opened the doors to its inner sanctum. Coach Robert Shaw has given the OK for our cameras to be with his side as they go on the road. It's a massive logistical operation, almost as big as the psychological hurdle of Adelaide's record in Melbourne. When we travelled to the MCG for the game against Essendon, it had been 119 weeks since the Crows had last won a minor round match across the border. It's Tuesday night, and after a weekend of post-mortems from the previous week, it's time to turn to the next game. They've just been belted by Collingwood, and Robert Shaw wants a bit more venom, some aggression, some toughness, even some anger.
I don't see myself as an aloof coach or an aloof team. That's been put on us in all sorts of ways, shapes and forms, and I'm certainly fighting very hard to make these players and myself and our club just a good, solid, honest footy club.
Footy club is what Shaw is all about. From the ground up, from his players to his backroom staff, he's trying to give this club some old-fashioned spirit, which is why when training finishes, they all come together for the regular Tuesday night barbecue.
As far as I'm concerned, that's a footy club, isn't it? Why we have got some differences from other footy clubs, and it's more an elite competition. These blokes are footballers, first, second and third. It's the way I've been brought up. You have the barbie on Tuesday night. The only thing you don't have is the barrel on Thursday night, I suppose. But and it's about keeping the boys around the club, otherwise it becomes a little bit sterile. You know, train, have a shower, go home. It's part of the grassroots football philosophy that I'm trying to implement into the side.
We have traditionally the worst barbecues ever. It's something that Shaw has introduced from Fitzroy, Tuesday night barbecue. And we have a bloke called Sergio De Joy, who's a little Italian fella who cooks barbecues, and he should be cooking pizza because his barbecues are horrendous. Serge, you've got a lot to answer for on TV.
From day one, Chris McDermott has been instrumental in the development of the club. And it's a special week. McDermott on Saturday will play his 100th AFL game, the first Crow to achieve the milestone. Tony McGuinness will play game number 200. It's also a special week for Pete, the club mascot and everybody's mate.
He's 32 today. So, Rexy, if you do the honours, please, and congratulations. Join in, boys. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Steve. Happy birthday to you.
But not far away from everyone's mind is the task at hand. It's Essendon this week, and getting to know your enemy starts on Tuesday night. Andrew McLeod and Tyson Edwards are the two youngest players in the side, and they're soaking up the challenge. The business part of the night comes when Shaw calls a team meeting.
We've just put a few things back in place, especially for this game when we're going over on the Friday afternoon, just to really structure a little bit more, but at the same time still allowing you blokes that individual preparation, that individual licence to prepare yourselves, be right across the board and help individual blokes a little bit more.
All the players are given a dossier on the opposition. Shaw reiterates the themes for the week and the structure leading up to match day. In this case, the coach has decided that the players on Saturday morning will walk from their hotel to the MCG.
You know what I mean? Under bridges and we're held up and bloody traffic jams. It gives everyone the... I think we'll just walk over together as a group, about 12, 10, and I just reckon that'll be the best thing for us.
Yes, mate. Top report. No real surprises in the outs. The Pittman, the Wren, the Brown and the Ross. And the other out is Liptak. He'll have to miss a week with that.
He will he?
Yeah.
Going through his gears?
He split it open. And,
So just stitch it up and...
Yeah, but I spoke to the hand specialist and he said really you shouldn't try and play with that for a week. And then we've got to get him a guard that's going to keep him flexed to 30 degrees for the next 5 or 6 weeks so that he doesn't get an unstable thumb.
Within the hour, Shaw and his selection committee have come together to pick their side. Contrary to what most might think, it's the Tuesday when the team is selected. Thursday is more for last-minute adjustments.
Every time we've gone to pick him, we've gone to put him in the side. Yeah. Twice for the hammy, once for the broken thumb. Yep. It's as relaxed as I care to make it. You're dealing with the same people, the same 6 or 7 people all the time, and it's just the way I like my meetings run. You know, you've got a lot of hard decisions to make, and it's better to make them in a positive and sort of relaxed frame of mind. In the past, Monday is about getting the past performance out of the way, and then Tuesday we start 100% on to picking our side. I've been brought up in a system at Essendon whereby, you know, they've always had a boxing coach there. And yes, it's for aggression. We've got a lot of quiet boys. It's pretty handy to know how to handle yourself. I think the side is not made up of a lot of natural mongrel players. I like to use the word physical confidence. I think anyone can be courageous, anyone can do good, strong, hard footy if they're confident. You'll find that by the time Rashudo is 25 or 26 and these sort of blokes, they'll be very much feared men. But at the moment, they're 19, 20-year-old boys. You're 2 days away from the game at the MCG, and if I have to use false motivation to make them train sharply, I think we're all in the wrong game.
Thursday night, the Crows machine is starting to gather momentum. Players know the final run sets the tone for the match build-up. For those vying for selection, it's their last crack at it. Out the back, Rex Lay and his team load the van with everything that needs to follow the Crows to Melbourne. Everything from stretchers to strapping gets a Guernsey. It all happens with a minimum of fuss. On the track, Shaw is with his brains trust, assistant coach Michael Taylor and selectors David Marshall and Mark Micken.
Well, his value is if he starts off and fires up.
You've got a cruncher.
Of course, he'll... yeah.
Fire in his eye.
He's got to give a chance. We stuffed him around last week.
As Trevor Jakes puts the players through the warm-up, the selectors throw the team around and plan the session.
Oh, hang on, what are you doing? You're doing a bump, pick up, hit.
Hit, go again.
Yeah, righto.
So you really need pairs, you see?
Yeah.
2 only from 1.
2 groups, you mean?
No, one bag.
They come out in 2s.
Enough, because you're going to have... I'll get Freddie to hold the bag.
I'll just get them to do 1 tackle, then a bump, then a pick up and a shepherd.
As always, Thursday night sees some onlookers. The session itself is short and sharp.
I don't like to fire all my bullets on Thursday night. I like to keep it, not low-key, but I like to keep it sharp. I think I like to see the players take over. Certainly Jarman and McGuinness, McDermott, these sort of blokes are very important because they do set the standard. I liken the travel and all that aspect too. There's no doubt it's like another training session because they're mentally tuned. They've got to be, they've got to be making decisions, and it's not like sitting home preparing in your own sort of way. So I try and get them home early, get them home for, we have some soup and that, but mainly by training at 4 o'clock, being out of the place by 5, they should be home for a good Thursday night meal, which is very important. And I've always thought that the Thursday night was the most important night as far as sleep and relaxation goes, because Friday night you could be a very nervous type of player. You could be twisting and turning in bed all night, and that's the way I want to do it. So that's basically it.
The match mood starts to hit home. Mark Micken takes away the centre square players for his ruck meeting. He doesn't pull any punches.
Just looking at last week, we had a shocking start. Now, you'll see when I show the video what I mean by shock and start. They got the first 5 out very cleanly, and things just didn't go according to plan. We planned to do it one way and it just didn't happen.
As for the coach, a quiet wander around the rooms to break the news to who's in and who's out.
There's two sides to it. First, there's the team side. It's pretty easy to pick a team generally. You know what you want, you know who you're up against, you put a lot of planning into it. That's pretty easy. But then the human side comes into it, and I guess that's one of my weaknesses. Because blokes don't change this. They're still damn good blokes, and they still have to get the phone call or still have to phone them up on the Thursday night or the Wednesday or Friday morning and tell them they're out, and that's still the hardest part of the job, and one that I don't think any coach finds comfortable, because there's no comfortable way to do it. You just have to look a bloke in the eye or pick up the phone and tell him, look, you're out. These are the reasons. I don't expect players to be happy about it. They never are.
Now you might be asking, where is the coach? Well, he's in enemy territory, back at his old club at Windy Hill for a match eve luncheon with his former coach Kevin Sheedy.
Kevin was a dirty, filthy, mongrel back pocket player and used to bite and scratch people.
And that's why there's about 10 back pocket coaches in the AFL.
And for the ride, he's brought McLeod and Edwards. He wants them to taste the suburban tradition of Melbourne footy. They're also a showcase of where Shaw sees the club's future.
It's a little bit unfair sometimes that Adelaide are seen as a superpower. We're certainly not. We're a good young side on the way up. That's not an excuse, that's a fact of life. And we are in a very delicate situation where you have Chris McDermott at 31, Scott Lee, these blokes at 30. And say if they all retired next year or the year after, if I've got 6 blokes about 29, 31, if they all go next year, our club's in a lot of trouble. Hence, sometimes you've got to grab these fellas over here on your right-hand side at 18 and 17 years of age and put them in.
Back at the Sheraton Hotel, only a couple of screw punts from the MCG. Simon Tregenza's roommate is Tony Modra, who, by the way, makes a better full forward than TV technician.
Well, you probably keep interrupting me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here. That'll leave. You got any videos, Trig?
Just get back here and, watch a bit of telly and get together and, sort of not too much you can do. We might go and play a few pennies a bit later on, so that's always a bit of fun.
Last year, a couple of games, we tried over the other side there to keep away from the noise. Yeah. At night, but now we're back to the front again because of the air, and they kept the windows open. Like I said, kept the windows open. You can hear the cars all out of the night, so it's pretty hard to sleep.
Right, so just walk down there, and it's not to stroll, but we're not going to push it out either. All right, so it's about 20 minutes just to get the cobwebs out. Let's go.
As another working week winds down in Melbourne, Shaw takes his players for a walk in Treasury Gardens. Notice Andrew Jarman out of uniform. He's suspended for this game, but has made a point of sharing McDermott and McGuinness's milestone.
It'll be hard, especially when seeing Chris and Tony run out. Especially Chris, he's just a great bloke and great man. I love him. That'll probably be the hardest part.
The emphasis is just on trying to recreate the performances we have at Football Park out at the MCG and against the tough Melbourne teams. We haven't been able to reproduce that sort of form over here, and unless we can, we're not going to participate in the finals and we're not going to be taken seriously in this competition.
The sooner we start winning here, and probably more than that, enjoy playing here and are comfortable here, the better the club's going to be.
Friday night before a game can be a difficult time for the players, trying to stay tuned and trying not to get bored. Some will stay inside and do the video routine, others like to get out. If there's a good game at the MCG, some will try to catch that, but it's a fair bet this is where you'll find a lot of them. Just around the corner in Burke Street, which is famous for its amusement arcades.
Are they out at a disco, or are they having a few grogs or something like that? To me, that's not an issue, because I think they're very professional, and certainly my philosophy is to treat them like men, and you get men-like performances, hopefully. But if you treat them like schoolboys and hold their hand, then you obviously get an opposite. But no, there's no need for a curfew. There's no need. They're professional young, and I trust them emphatically. And I've got no idea after the team meeting and tactical meeting and the video what they will do, nor do I let's take this the right way, because nor do I care.
Robert Shaw is in his hotel room. Tomorrow, he'll be in his office. Breakfast is a fairly subdued affair. It's match day and it's laced with tension. Some players are still in their rooms, going about the morning in the same way they would back home, where for some, the cartoons are a must. Others are prepared to mingle with the fans, who by now have arrived in town, usually after an all-night bus trip.
Is it worth waiting around at the door like this all the time?
Yeah, well, it's not for me because I don't go for them. Go for the Bombers.
Who's it for?
My grandma.
But for someone who doesn't barrack for them, the kid did pretty well. Nana would be rapt.
Alright?
Yeah, thanks.
Outside, faces are getting anxious, apprehensive. Bags are loaded. The first bus to go is for the staff and the execs. Players gather, still time for a quick snap. As for the coach, he seems relaxed. He's talking to the team psychologist Graham Winter, who often makes the trip to Melbourne. Shaw sticking to his plan to walk to the MCG.
Really now, we just wait for the first bounce and hope everything falls into place and that the boys play well.
The walk begins. There are mumbles about the Essendon supporters. As for the Adelaide fans, well, they're not too hard to spot.
You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You have a responsibility as a coach to make decisions that you think can influence the game, and I'll continue to do that all the time. Instead of sitting on the bus or control our own destiny, we'll walk over there tomorrow and through the car park and to the ground. I'm the worst loser, not in terms of spitting a dummy or breaking things, but I don't think there's anything better than winning. I reckon when we lose, we've got to all lose together and you've got to bleed together, and because next time the hurt you can use to, it's got to be more than just a 1 hour hurt, you know. It's got to really hit home over a couple of days.
The home advantage. Just how have the Crows fared and where does the club stand? Well, up to yesterday's game against St Kilda at Waverley, Adelaide had lost 34 matches in Melbourne and won just 6. They hadn't won there since beating Hawthorn in the qualifying final of 1993. Their last minor round victory there was in March of the same year against Richmond. Overall, the Adelaide Football Club had put a side on the ground on 105 occasions for 50 wins, 54 losses and a draw. It has beaten every team in the AFL and lost to all of them, bar the new Fremantle. It's fact they've come to within a kick of playing in a grand final. It's fact that Adelaide across the border doesn't command the credibility it does at home. And it's fact the club sacked a coach to try and change that.
First 10 minutes. We've got to set the standard early today. We've got to set it. Set it up. Stay tight. Right bunch. We've got to set it up. Get that.
Very exciting time, and maybe if people can be patient with me and persist with their football belief in Adelaide, that 12, 18 months down the track, this is going to be a real good footy side.